The familiar glow of the Taco Bell sign pulsed through the night, a beacon of cheesy goodness on a highway stretching towards the horizon. Inside, college buddies Jake, Maya, and Ben waited for their late-night feast. Laughter filled the air, fueled by exhaustion and inside jokes. They were starving.
Best crunch wraps after midnight.
Jake, ever the daredevil, had convinced them to stop on their road trip. His eyes twinkled with excitement.
Seriously, guys, it's almost 1.
Maya, practical and cautious, checked her phone.
More for us.
Ben, lost in the glow of his phone, just shrugged. Their order arrived, a mountain of tacos and burritos. The aroma of seasoned beef and processed cheese filled their senses. They dug in, famished and happy, oblivious to the subtle shift in atmosphere. The background music, once a familiar pop tune, faded to static. Outside, the world seemed to quiet. The usual hum of traffic, the distant drone of the city, all gone. A heavy silence descended, broken only by the crunch of their tacos.
Anyone else feel weird?
Ben, ever the skeptic, scoffed.
It's late, May. You're just tired.
He reached for another sauce packet, his fingers brushing the metal dispenser. It was empty. He checked another. Empty. He rattled the dispenser, a hollow metallic clang echoing in the sudden silence.
Okay, that's weird.
Jake, still chewing, looked around. The restaurant, usually bustling with late-night customers, was deserted. The only other soul was a lone employee, head down, mopping the floor with mechanical movements.
Hello?
Jake called out, his voice echoing strangely loud. The employee didn't react, continuing to mop in the same spot, a small pool of water forming around his feet.
This is freaking me out.
Maya's hand tightened around her Baja blast. A sudden flicker of lights made them all jump. The vibrant colors of the Taco Bell logo flickered, casting the room in a disorienting strobe. Ben's laughter died in his throat.
Okay, very funny, guys. Who messed with the lights?
But his voice wavered, betraying his forced bravado. The lights flickered again, plunging them into darkness for a heartbeat before snapping back on. When their eyes adjusted, they saw something that made their blood run cold. The employee was gone. The mop lay abandoned on the floor, a puddle spreading slowly across the tiles.
This is a joke, right?
Jake's voice was high-pitched, panic creeping in. Maya grabbed his arm, her eyes wide.
I don't like this, Jake. We need to get out of here.
She stood up, knocking over her Baja blast. The purple liquid spilled across the table, moving strangely, almost purposefully. It inched towards the edge, then dripped to the floor, forming a perfect circle around their feet. Ben, his face pale, stared at the expanding circle of soda.
Guys, this isn't funny anymore. This is seriously messed up.
He tried to laugh, but it came out as a strangled gasp. The shadows in the restaurant seemed to deepen, pressing in on them like an unseen entity. The silence was broken by a low humming sound, emanating from the walls. It grew louder, vibrating through their bones, a discordant hum that set their teeth on edge. Maya's grip on Jake's arm tightened.
We need to get out, now!
The humming intensified, morphing into a low, guttural whisper. It seemed to seep from the very walls surrounding them, a chorus of unintelligible murmurs that sent shivers down their spines. Ben, his bravado gone, scrambled to his feet.
Let's go, let's go.
They rushed towards the door, their steps echoing in the unnerving silence, but when they reached the door they found it wouldn't budge. It was locked. Jake rattled the handle, panic rising in his chest.
It's stuck, it won't open.
Maya pounded on the glass, her voice shrill.
Help! Somebody let us out!
But her cries were swallowed by the whispering walls, lost in the growing darkness that seemed to emanate from the heart of the restaurant. Section 5. The Vanishing Employee. Ben, his face ashen, scanned the restaurant, searching for another way out.
There, the back door.
He pointed to a door marked Employees Only. It was a long shot, but it was their only hope. They raced across the restaurant, their breath coming in ragged gasps. The whispers followed them, growing louder, more insistent, as if urging them on. Ben threw his weight against the door, but it held firm.
It's no use, it's locked.
Suddenly, a figure materialized from the shadows. It was the employee, his face obscured by the dim light, his name tag glinting under the flickering fluorescent lights. He was holding a key. Relief flooded through them. They were saved. But as he approached, a cold dread gripped their hearts. His movements were jerky, unnatural. His eyes, visible now, were vacant, devoid of life. And the whispers, they seemed to be coming from him, emanating from his very being. Section 6. Trapped in the Taco Temple. The employee, his face a mask of eerie serenity, raised the key. But instead of unlocking the door, he plunged it into the wall, the metal scraping against the surface with a sickening screech. The whispers reached a fever pitch, a cacophony of voices that seemed to shake the very foundations of the restaurant. A section of the wall began to recede, revealing a dark opening. The employee gestured towards it, a silent invitation into the unknown. The smell wafting from the opening made their stomachs churn, a rancid odor of decay and something else, something ancient and unholy. Terror lent them a burst of adrenaline. They had to escape, but the employee blocked their path, his vacant eyes boring into their souls. The whispers swirled around them, a vortex of sound that threatened to drag them under. Section 7. Shadows and Shifting Shapes. The shadows in the restaurant seemed to writhe and coil, taking on grotesque shapes that danced at the edge of their vision. The familiar Taco Bell imagery, once comforting and banal, now appeared sinister, distorted. The smiling face of the Chihuahua mascot on the wall morphed into a snarling beast, its eyes glowing with an infernal light.
Screaming.
Maya screamed, a primal sound of pure terror. The employee took a step towards them, his shadow stretching across the floor, twisting into the shape of grasping claws. They were trapped, cornered in this nightmare version of a fast food haven.
We have to go through. It's our only chance.
Ben, his eyes darting from the employee to the dark opening, made a desperate decision. The opening pulsed with an eerie green light beckoning them forward like a doorway into the abyss. The stench wafting from it was overpowering now, a nauseating blend of decay and something else, something alien and profoundly wrong. As they stumbled towards the opening, Maya noticed something on the wall.
Hidden beneath layers of grime and faded paint, a fresco emerged. It depicted a scene of ritual sacrifice. Grotesque figures in ceremonial garb offering a human sacrifice to a monstrous deity. And the deity, it bore a striking resemblance to the Taco Bell Chihuahua mascot.
The realization hit her like a physical blow. This wasn't just a restaurant, it was a temple, a place of ancient, unspeakable power, and they had stumbled into its heart. With a surge of desperate courage, Jake shoved past the employee, knocking him aside. They plunged into the darkness, the whispers swirling around them like a malevolent wind. The air grew thick and heavy, filled with the dust of ages and the faint scent of blood. The passage twisted and turned, leading them deeper into the bowels of the earth. The air grew colder, the darkness more absolute. They stumbled blindly, their hands scraping against rough-hewn walls, their hearts pounding in their chests.
Behind them, the employees' laughter echoed through the passage, a chilling sound that spurred them onward. They had to escape this nightmare, even if it meant running until their lungs burned and their legs gave out.
They burst out into the cool night air, gasping for breath, their clothes torn and covered in grime. The familiar glow of the Taco Bell sign pulsed behind them, casting long, distorted shadows across the deserted parking lot. Collapsing onto the asphalt, they clung to each other, their bodies shaking with terror and exhaustion. They had escaped the nightmare, but the experience had changed them, marked them in ways they couldn't yet comprehend.
Ben, picking himself up, reached into his pocket for his phone. He needed to call for help, but as he pulled his hand out, he froze. Clutched in his fingers was a small, folded piece of paper. He unfolded it slowly, his blood turning to ice.
Written on the paper, in a scrawling, childish hand, were 3 words, "See you soon." And beneath them, a crudely drawn image of a grinning Chihuahua, its eyes glowing with an infernal light. The Taco Bell sign flickered, plunging them into darkness for a heartbeat. When the light returned, the parking lot was empty. The restaurant stood silent, its windows dark, as if nothing had happened.
Had it all been a dream? A collective hallucination brought on by stress and too much late-night junk food?
As they drove away, the rising sun painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them. Something ancient and hungry, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next offering. And in the back of their minds, a single terrifying thought echoed. What if it wasn't a dream at all?